Organissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today. Organissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Folks, welcome back to the Fit and Fab channel, iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane Age. As you see, today we're talking with the Fit and Fab, world, and it is the Fit and Fab channel primarily. But fitness, health, wellness, it's all one. And again, all the concepts that we have in life do have to touch on our key core elements of health, and you can't have that really without some sort of fitness. And we can talk about that, on and on and on. Now, with me today, I have someone who is joining us from the future. And I have to say that I love it. I don't know why, but I can't help it. But whenever I have someone from Australia, it is evening here, it is morning there, and future hopefully is bright and beautiful. And so that's how we want to hope. But it is winter there now, so I don't know. The weather may not be as great. Depends on the side of the continent, I guess, where you're at. But so our guest today is a worldwide life coach, personal trainer. He had a serious event in his life that actually really took a quick turn, and but he decided to make a difference for himself and for the world. And he's been doing that for over 13 years now. And, and his condition, what happened to him, when you hear it, you're going to be like, whoa, that's not something that most people may not come back from it. Unfortunately, there is a 50-50 shot, chance of someone to experience what he experienced. And, when people, unfortunately, sometimes they pass on. So it is my honor to have Jai Bazevski with me today. Jai, welcome to the show.
Thank you, brother. It's so awesome to be here.
Listen, man, we've booked this. I'm excited about it. When I connected with you and I saw the story, and the work you do today, in a way, just listening to you today, and I'm sure that people are going to watch and listen right now, they can at least take one thing in their life, is that there's hope, and there is a way to come back from anything as worse as it can get. That's always a good message to have, but also the importance of health, the importance of really going back to the roots. And we're going to talk about that because you are the founder of SQ1, or what is it? Square One, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll talk about all that. Now, Jay, I want to start with your big day that changed your life, the tragedy, whatever you want to call it, the event. And you were an IT guy, and then you went completely to the other side and joined the fitness world and the coaching world. And so let's start about that main event that happened and how it happened, what led to that event.
Yeah, well, it was in 2008. I was 27 years old, and I was working in the IT space, and actually wasn't overly happy with how my life was playing out. I wasn't overly passionate about my career, and I was looking for change, and I was looking for fulfillment. And unfortunately, I was looking for happiness in the wrong places, the places that were actually giving me more pain. And so eventually, I got to a point where I was virtually depressed and just didn't really know sort of what the next moves were. Then left field, out of the blue, the most random thing happened to me. I had a cardiac arrest. I was playing a game of basketball with some friends on a Sunday morning. I'd been out the night before drinking with my friends, so I was hungover. I didn't take care of my body at that time. In my 20s, I thought I was invincible. I went to the gym and stuff like that, but I never really paid attention to my diet or my health overall. It never really had that insight about longevity and just living healthy. And so I would just do whatever. And so I'm playing basketball and my heart rate starts to just erratically beat out of the blue, just crazy, like just wild. And I couldn't do anything to stop it. So I got off the basketball court and I tried to calm myself down, and I'm sweating, I'm lightheaded, heart rate's just doing this crazy thing. Take myself home, have a shower, have something to eat, try and meditate, try and do anything that I can to just try and defuse this feeling that I have. And hours and hours went by. And then that evening I had dinner with my family. So I'd gone to my brother's place with my parents and we're having dinner. And then they could tell that I was completely off. And then they're like, what's going on? And then so I explained to them how I'm feeling. And then they got, scared, and they're like, oh, we need to go to the hospital. There's something really wrong with you. And then, that was the last place that I wanted to go. And I just was like, no, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. And then my mum was just getting, very scared and very upset about it all. So she called our family doctor. Our family doctor said to her, convince him to go to the hospital. So she gets off the phone and she's like, look, the doctor said, this is what we should do. If there's anything that's weird with your heart, then you don't take any chances. And at that time, I thought to myself, I still thought I was going to be okay. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put their minds at ease, and just for their sake, let's go and do it and I'll be fine. And so we go to the hospital, and then they check me in, and then they think I'm on drugs. So they're, drilling me about what drugs have you had? You can tell us, we've told your family to leave the room so that you can let us know. We're not going to let them know what's going on with you, And so I had to convince them that I hadn't had any kind of drugs and that I didn't know what was happening. So, and during this time, now I'm starting to get anxious because this feeling is like, I think I'm getting anxiety on top of it because their doubt is making me scared, because I thought they would come in and say, oh, you're fine, or something like that. And so they're confused. I'm confused. I'm getting anxious. I've got this problem going on. And so I said to them, like, maybe half an hour has gone by at this point. And I said, guys, like, what are we doing here? Like, you're going to have to do something. And I said, I'm getting really anxious. And they said, okay, look, we can give you a drug that will stop your heart, but your heart will start again immediately straight away. It's for people that have a arrhythmia issue. It stops and starts and then it resets. And then they asked for my permission if I wanted to do that. And I said, sure, let's go for it. If you think that that's going to fix me, then, I'm going to just take your guidance from this point forward. So they're like, all right, cool. So they give me this drug. It was through, a needle or whatever. And then I don't even know what it was to this day. And then out of the blue, that's it. That's the last thing I remember. I fall into a coma. So my heart is still doing this crazy, erratic, high beat. So I'm at like 180 beats per minute or something like that. And now I'm in a non-responsive coma. So they have to put a ventilator in to keep me breathing. And this goes on for 8 minutes while I'm in this coma. And then after 8 minutes, my heart rate's climbing. And then I just flatlined. So I was clinically dead for 3 minutes. In that 3 minutes, they're trying to revive me. So they're keeping the ventilator going, keeping me alive. And then they defibrillate me with the paddles. So they shock me, nothing happens. They do it again the second time, and then bam, that's when I come back. So 3 minutes go by, they shock me back. Now my memory kicks in. I jump up out of the bed, and I didn't know that I had a ventilator down to my chest, and so I'm choking, and I'm trying to breathe through this thing, and all I could feel was, actually thought I was like just vomiting everywhere. I wasn't, but that was the feeling that I had. And I knew that there was something in my passage, but I had no idea what it was. So my instinct, within a second, before they could even react, I grabbed this thing and I just tear it out of my chest. And they lost their shit, man. They were like, whoa, like you just did some major damage right now, most definitely. So then this nurse, I just remember these big hands on my chest, and he just pushes me down onto the bed. And he's like, we need to x-ray your chest. You've just torn your trachea open. You ripped the ventilator out, blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, I felt like I was normal again. Like I checked in on myself, and I was like, I remember asking myself, is my heart doing that weird thing? And it wasn't, and it just felt completely normal. So once I had kind of realized that feeling had gone away, I was like, I'm good. And so I just relaxed. And then, I didn't even care that the x-rays, this, that, they put the big heavy blanket on me to x-ray my chest and stuff. And I was just exhausted, probably from the shock and whatever. But I had this certainty in my mind that I was okay. So I just relaxed back and just let them do their thing. And then after a couple of minutes, they're like, "You're all good. You didn't do any damage when you ripped the ventilator out, and just rest or whatever." They put the oxygen on me because my oxygen levels were low. I was highly dehydrated because I had had a hangover from the night before. Plus, I was in the basketball court sweating my butt off, and then because my heart rate had been doing that thing for like 8 hours, I was sweating the whole time because my body was just trying to regulate itself. So I'd lost a lot of water. So they got the saline drip on me, they got the oxygen mask on me, and I'm just completely exhausted. So I fall back into the bed. My family comes back in. I can barely keep my eyes open. I still don't know what the hell happened. And then I stay there overnight. So the next morning I wake up, I've had the best sleep of my life. I feel like I'm 1,000% better than I've ever felt. And then I look at my watch and it's like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something like that. And then I see a nurse walking by and I flagged her down. And then I said, "Hey, can you help me get out of here? Like, I need to go to work. It's Monday morning." And then she laughed at me and she's like, "Buddy," she's like, "you are not going anywhere." She's like, "Do you know what happened to you last night? Do you remember what happened?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's a bit kind of hazy. Like, I know why I came in and I know that I feel okay now." And then she's like, "Look, you fell into a coma. We had to put a ventilator in you. We had to defibrillate you. You were clinically dead for 3 minutes. We've been monitoring you all night. We don't know why it happened. We're not going to let you go until we figure it out." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." And then when she told me that and started running me through the story, then my memory started to come back over that time. And then I was like, yeah, I remember now. And then, so I'm there for 4 days and I feel fine the whole time. I feel completely normal and I'm just bored. I got family and friends coming to visit me. We're having a party in the room. There's like, my whole basketball team comes in. Everything's fine. I just feel like normal. And then after 4 days, the cardiologist comes in. He sits on the edge of the bed, and then he's like, "All right, Jai." He goes, "We've been monitoring you for the last 4 days, and this is what we think is the situation. We think that you have a very rare heart condition that was triggered from pressure, stress, anxiety, whatever it was, and this thing happened. And there's two ways we can deal with it. We can medicate you for the rest of your life," which I'm just totally not into that. "Or we could have surgery and it's a one-time deal and you'd never have to be medicated after that. You can get the hell out of here and we don't ever have to see you again." And I was like, well, both options suck, obviously, but I opted for the surgery because I thought, like, I just want it to be, done with.
We're not. Yep.
Yeah. So I go in for the surgery like a week later. They do that. I go home. I'm recovering for like 3 months. They go in through the groin. So they wind up these wires up into the main artery, get into your heart. The problem with the heart was I had an additional electrical pulse. It's called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. It's like 1 in 250,000 people have it. And out of those people, only a very small percentage can get impacted by it in the way I did. And like 0 point something percent. And so very, very rare, very random. So I'm recovering 3 months. I go back to work one day on my first day back to work. And then I get home that afternoon, call from the surgeon. "We've been monitoring your ECG results. And unfortunately, we don't think we actually fixed the problem. We need to do the surgery again." I was like, "Oh man, you're kidding me." At that point, that was my lowest point because I thought that this was just going to be a problem that's just going to keep on coming back until I die. And I actually thought that I was going to die because I was very scared about the surgery. It really challenged me mentally to even do the first one. And then to go and have to do it a second time, I was like, man, I don't think I'm going to make it. Like, legit thought I was not going to make it. So I said, "Look, you got to book me in like ASAP. Like, can we do it like tonight? Can we do it tomorrow? Like, when can we do it? Because this is so scary for me." And then he's like, "Look, I can get you in next week." I was like, "Book me in. Let's do it." So he books me in. And then I get off the phone, talk to my family about it. And then I said to them, like, "Got to go again, blah, blah, blah." I go upstairs. I have a shower. And in that time, I'm in the shower. And then the emotions just come out, man. Like I'm crying, like just it's all coming out. I'm doing the whole why me? I'm not meant to be alive, like this is gonna kill me. I'm only 27 years old. Why? Right? And then while I'm in the shower, I'm just like, I can't do this for the next week until I go into this surgery. Like this is gonna kill me, just this alone. So I said to myself while I was in the shower, I said, okay, when I turn the shower off, emotions are cut. I'm just going to put it to the side. I've committed to the surgery. I have to do it. And they're going to fix me. And I just have to be positive about it. And like, I just have to switch off until it's done and just be positive. Right. And then, so I stayed in the shower a little bit more. I let all the emotions come out, get my hands on the shower, tap things, turn it off, boom, cut. I go downstairs. I talk to my family. I say, look, guys, it's booked in for a week. I'm really scared. My emotions are really high. I said, we can't talk about it. Like, I don't bring it up. Don't show me your emotions. I know it's tough for everybody, but like, we just have to just not think about it, not talk about it. It's going to get done and we'll be okay. And they're like, yep, 100%, we got your back. So the week goes by, I go do the surgery. I get in there, the surgeon comes in and he's like got his clipboard and he's like, all right, Jai, now we have to talk about the risks involved in this surgery. I'm like, dude, you got me in here a second time. I'm in this bed. Let's just do it, man. And then he's like, okay, all right, cool. So they get me in, get the surgery done. Thank God, all sorted out. They got me fixed and I've never had a problem ever since then. That was 2007, 2008. So I go home, another 3 months recovery. The mental recovery was a lot longer because I was scared to get my heart rate up. I was scared to elevate it. Anytime I had an irregular heartbeat or any kind of like heart palpitation, I was like, oh shit, it's happening again. So I went to for my final check with the cardiologist and I told him my concerns. I said, look, every now and again, like I feel like a little beat, and then he's like, you're so tuned into your heart now. He said, every living human being on the planet has an irregular heartbeat, but they're not tuned into it like you. So they don't even notice it. He goes, everyone's heart does that. He's like, you just need to relax and, just have the faith that, you're all good. He goes, we'll stress test you now. He goes, if anything goes wrong, you want it to go wrong here because we'll save your life. So they put me on the treadmill and then I'm like, all right, like I just had the mindset of like, let's try and break it. If it's going to break, let's break it now. Otherwise, who knows what could happen. So I get on that treadmill and I'm just saying to the lady, faster, 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 cranking it up. I'm running my ass off, man. I'm running so hard. And then after about 5 minutes, she switches it off. She's like, you're done. And then go back to the cardiologist. He's like, you're perfect. He's like, we fixed you. He goes, I never want to see you again. Get out of here. And I was like, thank you. Right. So then I get out of there. And then, the whole experience was just so wild that it just transformed the way I see myself, the way I see everything, the way I see life. I have such a deeper appreciation for just living, because of coming so close to death. It really makes you appreciate life so much more. And that's when I thought to myself, I'm not going to waste another day feeling depressed, feeling pissed off, feeling angry, feeling anything that I don't want in my life, gone. So the first thing that had to go was my job. And I was like, I hate this job. This job sucks, right? It was great at first. I did it for 13 years, but towards the end, I was like so over it. And I'm like, this job's got to go because it's killing me. So I thought to myself, what the hell am I going to do, right? And I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to do my own thing. And I'm looking up like buying franchises and, I looked into buying a Subway franchise and then I looked into a lawn mowing business and all this random stuff. And I'm like, I'm not interested in any of that. And then I was thinking back and I'm thinking like, what am I really, really interested in? And I remember when I was in high school, I wanted to be a personal trainer. And I ended up getting into this IT career because I got offered a traineeship like when I was 19, 20 years old, and I just went for it. It was just like something that got handed to me and put in my lap. So one thing led to another and I had this career, but it wasn't something that I was like seeking out, but I actually wanted to be a PT. So I thought, oh, maybe fitness is the way to go, because when I was in hospital, I was like, I was in the waiting room for surgery and I was looking around and there was like 8 or 9 other men and they were all in their 50s and 60s and they were all in the cardiac ward. So they were going in for surgery as well. And these guys looked terrible. They were overweight, out of shape. You could tell they didn't have a healthy lifestyle and they were having like triple bypasses and pacemakers and transplants and all this crazy stuff. And I'm in there waiting, and then the psychologists were coming in, and they would sit down with them. They'd pull like the shower screen across, and they'd have these therapy sessions with them where they're preparing them for death. And I'm listening in on this like I'm a fly on the wall, and they're saying things to them like, have you spoken to your family about what would happen if you don't make it through, and this kind of stuff? And my mind's just blowing open. And I just had this epiphany at that time, and I thought to myself, you know what, prevention is the cure. We need to focus on prevention. And so all those sort of experiences kind of came back to me, and then I was like, I need to help people. I need to be a personal trainer, which will help me because that was my interest. But then I can actually add value to the world, and I can help people to not get into such a scary situation like what myself and all these other men were in, where we got ourselves to this point where we had to go through all this terrible stuff. So that was kind of like my mission that has been driving me. So studied personal training at night, 3 nights a week while I kept my job, did that for 6 months, got my certification, quit my job, opened up a boot camp and personal training business in my local area, studied to be a life coach while I was doing that. A year or two after that, I found just a big old warehouse that was for rent in the area, and I was like, perfect, I'm going to go in there, because I was having problems, parks and stuff, and like councils and stuff, and random fees and all this crap, and it was just too much inconsistency, rain and bad weather and stuff. And I thought, this isn't a real business, like I need to have like a space. So I ended up leasing out this big warehouse, and I just converted it into a gym, and I started running boot camp and personal training, hired some staff, and that went for a decade and just crushed it. Had such great success, helped thousands of people, made great money, bought a couple of houses, like just did really, really well. Then COVID hit, and then they shut our business down, right? They shut it 5 months out of the 12 months I was shut down. Then in 2021, 6 months out of the 12 months were shut down. And I'm like, nah, man, this isn't going to work. So I decided to close the gym, wrap it all up, and switch to online coaching. It was something that I knew was growing, and I could see that was coming. So I was like, now's the time. This is the calling. So I closed off the gym, got out of the city as well. I was in Western Sydney. And I said to my wife, Kate, who also works with me, part of the business, I said, let's go to the beach. Let's go. Just, we wanted to retire on the beach anyway and do it in the future. Let's bring that 10-year plan to 10 weeks. Wow. So we drew that down. We closed everything up. We moved 9 hours north up to the beach. Now we're living on the beach. We're running our online coaching business, and life's never been better, to be honest with you. So I mean, that's like the summary of where I've gone from the age of 27, and now this year I'm turning 43.
Okay, all right. So it's my turn now, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, first of all, it's just an amazing story, and I mean, you are clinically dead. I mean, technically 3 minutes is more than most people would, claim. I mean, I think 1 minute, 2 minutes is where the average, defibrillation, will generate, and hopefully someone gets back. But 3 minutes is a long time. And you were in coma. I mean, first of all, the whole story, just you're doing your thing as a young person, having fun, which is typically what we all do at that age. I mean, from the time like you're 18 to like 20, the 20s, it's party time. I mean, and by the way, that's worldwide. I don't care what part of the world you're in. It's the age where you want to discover, you have that full energy, and you want to do everything, and you think you own the world, and the world owes you. And unfortunately, none of it is real, because we also abuse our health because we think we are, as you said, invincible. We have no fear, all the stuff. I mean, I mentioned to you, I do, the recurrent monthly show with Dr. Ham from Sydney. And, he had literally in one of the shows, he clearly stated that the front lobe of our brain doesn't evolve until like the age of 25, and we don't find our identity until 35. So therefore, all those the second decade or the third decade of our lives is usually where we're not even sure who we are. We are literally just developing still, and we go nuts. And the society has created that impression that you need to go through that phase. It's fun. We hear all the time, oh, you got to go through you are young, you're full of energy, you got to live your life. But sometimes we do destroy. Now, in your case, you didn't know you had a condition. and you happen, that it crushed you in split second. Which, by the way, you are a lucky one because many people. I actually have seen a heart attack happen in front of me, and luckily we were able to save my friend. And he literally this happened to me. We were at work. He called me from. He went to the bathroom. He didn't feel good. He called me and said, I don't know, call, come check me out. I check him out. He was literally drenched, and he had chest pains and everything. We called, 911 here. They came in. We grabbed him. I went with him in the ambulance. Let me tell you something. As soon as we get there, he's like, we got lucky. The ambulance had an actual doctor in it. And there was just that the hospital was doing this thing, during that time. And they had a doctor that's just going through the neighborhood. So luckily he had a doctor, and this doctor was actually a specialist. He's like, dude, you're having a heart attack, and so they jumped him right into the ICU. Boom, in surgery, all that good stuff happened. Literally an hour later, he was actually with stents in his heart and things like that. He had an actual heart attack. No cardiac arrest, but he was having. It was brutal. You actually went beyond that. Not only you had all the symptoms of a heart attack, you actually had a full arrest. I mean, your heart stopped. I mean, and stopped for a couple of minutes, which is again, that's why, as the prelude, I was just alluding to the idea that it is a 50-50 shot. When someone's having a heart attack, they don't come back. Um,
Mm.
so that's like you had a second life, if you want to call it. It's not a second life. I mean, if you have a belief or faith system, you know that it's not the time. You're still here for a reason, and the purpose is that what you've achieved beyond that. So again, for our audiences and viewers, lesson learned. You can't control your health. I mean, you could, but you can't know your conditioning or your genetics. I mean, sometimes things will, almost like reveal themselves at a later time in your life. You don't know. All of us, we don't know what that is. However, we could take it easy on ourselves. And again, as a message to our youth, and listen, live your life. Nobody's going to tell you not otherwise, but you know do the right thing by yourself. Again, you were having a party and you were doing stuff, and we all kind of went crazy. And I guilty as charged. I mean, I've had those days myself. And but I was always part of the fitness stuff. But even this, you were fit, you were actually doing your stuff, but like you said, you were not taking care of all of it. You had a different perspective in life. And that's the other thing. At that age, you're full of life. You think, life is in there. And we all had to go through that. I'm in the 50s now. And I can tell you, when that age, you don't think about 50. You don't think about that age. You don't think about the future. You just think about the moment and you enjoy it. You can plan stuff, but it's different. You just like in the moment, and you're full of life, and you think the end, is not near. But yet every one of us has that moment where it could be any given day. And I love what you said when you did say about the woman. You said that about those 50s. I felt it.
Yeah.
So that's my crew, right? And but you're right though. I mean, it is a difficult. That's like you're in the. I mean, I think that's a half a century. So therefore now, you're probably on the incline in terms of age. Curve, right? But it's how you feel. It's the life that you have led. Today to this point is, and it how is your, I guess, habits. Whether it's sleeping, working, eating, the different things that you put in your body, all this stuff does contribute to whether it's stuff. Now, of course, there's the genetics. There's other things that could be a reason why someone can have a problem with the heart or something else. But again, just for our audiences, I mean, this is a health and wellness and fitness show, and again, your health is everything. Because if you go, if your health goes, there's nothing you can do. I mean, and so one thing you talked about is you got into this job that was not for you. You did it because it just happened.
Mm.
And that's reality also. We have this is very common. Most of the people watching and listening right now are doing something that's probably not their passion. That's probably not something that they wanted to do. They just had no choice to do because they need to make a living. And that's the first opportunity. They just got into it and they stuck with it. And there's the fear that if I leave, I might not be able to restart. If I leave, what can I else do different? There's all these questions that come in mind. Now, if you're younger, you might not have the means, and therefore you're stuck. And when you're younger, you tend to work more, and companies will tend to actually take advantage of that. you
Mm.
you have energy, they'll do that. Like I remember when I started. I mean, I started my career path. I was 23. Literally, I mean, I started before, but 23 is when I started in the industry that I'm in, the healthcare industry. And I can tell you, originally, I was working 7 days. I was literally going crazy because I wanted to get to the next level and the next level. And to get to the next level, you got to prove that you earned that rank. And so, therefore, you could do more and more and more to get there. But what detriments? I mean, there is ramifications to all these things. Now, I happen to love what I do, so it didn't stress me. I had fun with it, but not everybody has that.
Yeah.
Okay, and even with me loving what I do, you love what you do, but sometimes you may not love who you work for. Or your leader or whoever. I mean, not leader; those will be bosses. A leader, if they're good leaders, you will want to work for them. But so these are some of the things. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Is it worth it? You're working and you only get a couple of weeks vacation. You're working and you don't have enough sleep. You're working, you don't have time for yourself. You're working, you're barely eating food correctly. You just shoving food, behind a desk, for like 2 minutes because you just want to finish and go to, or you're going to a meeting and just crashing food right there while you're like, I'm talking, on the meeting and just grabbing a couple bites. That's not a living, right? That's a
Mm.
problem. And we all guilty, in this society today. Well, I would say all, I wouldn't generalize, but a lot of us are in
Mm.
that same cycle and circle, if you want to call it. And it's a painful place to be. And we tend to, sometimes we sacrifice, I need this, but we eliminate other things in our lives. For example, working out, gym is important, movement is important. You eating correctly, sleeping correctly. These are all things that sometimes we decline or even just not even have in our system because we are not really paying attention to them. We're focused on career and more money and more money. But what happens? I mean, in your case, God forbid, right? It ended then, you would have just basically be gone, right? That's not, and your family would suffer a lot of things, but you're full of life, you're full of energy, you're full of this stuff, and so now again, in your case was specific, but some people actually get stressed, some people get anxiety, some people do it to themselves. They find themselves either, like to your point, obese, heart issues, things like that. And it's very difficult to come back. I mean, you are younger, your resilience and your body is going to recuperate, a little different than someone who's in the 50s or 60s, right? So that's also stuff. So if you're destroying your body to a point, there may be a point of no return, and then that's done, right? So again, I'm just covering some of the elements that you've talked about and the importance of knowing these things. At least, sometimes this is not something new that we're talking about here. I mean, your case is very new in terms of like what happened to you, very unique. It's like a horror movie. I mean, we that would be a good movie actually, like a
Yeah.
drama movie. I mean, we can dramatize this, you know. But it's amazing that we go through things, all of us, we don't realize how close we are sometimes to the end. And only when you reach a certain point where in life, when you can appreciate what you had, what you didn't, and understand, like, I need to adjust life, I need to do things differently, and it can be done. You are good proof that you made the tweaks. And I love what you said. You went and got your certification. You worked, 3 days a night until you got your full certification, all that stuff, and then you moved into the. Again, that's the other thing. You don't have to do this overnight. You
Mm.
just have to make the decision that it is what it is. I got to move on, but I got an exit plan. You got to have a way of getting out, and you start working that change, slowly but surely, and whatever it takes to get it out. Eventually, you're gonna get what you will love, and you did it. And by the way, I love what you had as a mission is that I want to do something I love, but I also want to help people, and
Yes.
and you did that, right? And so that, and that's the other thing. When you do something that you love, but at the same time you help others, it's got a beautiful feeling to it, right? It's an important feeling. So again, as a summary to my point is that folks, if you're any age group, you got to take care of yourself. One, two, if you're young, don't destroy yourself and think that you're invisible. Things can happen, and overnight, things can turn bad. So again, it's just a reminder for all of us. As a matter of fact, at any age group, at any point, it is something to just keep in front of you, like enjoy the moment, do the right things. Yes, are there cases where you can do all the good stuff and still have a bad outcome? That could happen. At the end, it's life. But if it's all law of averages. If you do it all right, there is a good chance you're going to be a better place. If you do it all wrong, there's a good chance you're going to have. Now, do we have extremes in both ends where someone does it all wrong and they live forever? There is. Is there someone that does it all right and they drop that? There is. So, but those are your like extreme cases. The averages, it's very known. You do it right, you get a right outcome. You do it bad, you get a bad outcome. So again, that's just that. Now again, man, I have to say your story just incredible, just to resonate with it and even absorb it. Now, what I want to talk about is your experience at the hospital, just for a minute, because and again, maybe someone listening right now, that you did everything that shouldn't be done. I mean, but then again, I have to question the hospital here because I'm sorry to say, but if they knew that you were intubated and you coming back, they shouldn't. You should have been strapped or something. You can't be just coming up and I mean, they should know that thing. I mean, you would think that they do, right? And I don't know, man. That was like crazy. Like I tell you, it's a scene in the movies. Like you're like, but your adrenaline's probably kicking and your heartbeat is
Yeah.
going crazy, and you just like you didn't realize that you have it. So again, you're just coming back. Those people that were with you were supposed to watch you're coming back. Like, you open their eyes, they see your pulse. Oh, hold it. Make sure that
Yeah.
everything, or at least they gotta prep you, take the stuff before you actually, or maybe just as you open. But again, that was I don't know. That's tough, man. and,
Yeah.
and the fact that, dude, I just the image that you are snatching that stuff, from your, man, that's just like brutal.
It is, man.
Yeah, well, right
Um,
now you have the visual, but you probably don't remember. I mean, you remember the scene, but you probably don't remember the pain. But at that moment, I don't know, man. It would have been really tough. And whew.
yeah,
But hey,
man. And
you did it though.
I did it, man. And something that was really weird as well was during that 3 minutes, dude, I was floating above my body and I was observing everything that was happening. And that was the strangest thing that's happened out of everything that I've explained is the fact that, yeah, during that time, man, I'm just up and behind my body and I'm just watching everything play out. I can see all these doctors and nurses around me, everyone being frantic and trying to figure out what's happening with me. And in that whole time, I've just got peace. I've just got the most calmest. I'm not giving meaning to it. Tony Robbins says that we're meaning makers in a meaningless world. And I resonate with that because in that moment, I felt like I was removed from the situation and I wasn't trying to give meaning to it. I wasn't like going, holy shit, look at me, I'm dying or whatever's going on or what's happening to me or whatever. I was just chilling and I'm just there and I'm floating in this blissful state for this 3 minutes. And then during that time, I can hear somebody calling my name. And it's like faint from the distance. And it wasn't the people in the room, it was like from somewhere else. And I'm like, who's calling me? And then it got to the point where the only thing that I cared about in that moment was who's calling my name. And as I focused on my name being called, then it was getting louder and louder and louder. And the way I can describe it is imagine if you're in a swimming pool and you go underneath the water
Yeah, yeah.
and there's a
And you
party
come up.
going on outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can kind of hear it's all muffled, right? And
And
I'm
then
like, what's going on? And then bam. And that's when the shock came and where I jumped up. So, I mean, I don't know if that was like the pearly gates, calling me or what it was. To this day, I have no idea. But that was just like a really weird thing that happened in that time that I just wanted to throw in there as well, because it just kind of, it makes the story a little bit more wild.
Yeah, that sounds like you had an out of body experience, as they refer to it. And listen, uh, I'm not a skeptic, but you've gone through it. I mean, no one else can describe it better than you, and so I can tell you, I'll take your word for it. And frankly, it could be multiple things, but to your point, that experience. I mean, unless you experience it yourself, no one's gonna know. I mean, you did, but none of us can really understand it unless you go through it. Hopefully not, but you did, and it is for what it's worth, right? But you're right. I mean, you were literally there physically, spiritually, everything was there, but it was just different. It was just like a moment in time that's frozen. And listen, like I said, there's no way to explain it. There's no way to come back from it. There's no way to. It is what it is. It happened. You're here. You made it, and I mean, obviously, you had to go through those additional procedures and the surgeries and things like that. And
Mm.
by the way, you talked about the emotions and the mind, like the stress that came in your mind. I mean, the fact that you know that you have to undergo surgery, the fact that, like you said something about like, I want it now, I don't want it later. Anticipation of that is worse than that itself, as they say, right? That's the saying goes. And anything when you're like anticipating bad stuff or like you're dreading something, a minute becomes a year. I mean,
Mm.
time almost slows down. That's like relative time is real. It's
Yeah.
it's more real when you have something. We always say if you have a good moment, it goes like snap, right? If you have a bad moment, it seems that eternity, right? And that's exactly what happened there. So you wanted just to get it done. Let's do it. Let's get it, finished. I have to tell you, I mean, just waiting for that day and waiting for this and the emotions. And like you said, I'm only 27, I want to live longer. And that's everybody's, feel, right? No one wants that, like, because you have two outcomes. If you go under, it's either coming back or not. Now, you had already
Exactly.
a comeback, so that was good. But now you probably doubting, like, am I gonna make it again?
Yep.
I can just imagine like what you had to go through, and it's not a picnic. It's got to be tough for your mind. I mean, I'm sure if we ask a psychologist, there is a phenomena there. There's an actual descriptive and explanation to what you were going through.
Mhm.
Chemicals, everything is probably going to be out of whack, because you had to endure, and you did. Now I love your attitude. It's like, you know what, shower is off, no emotions. I'm just going through this. Let's get it done.
Mm.
And that's sometimes what you have to do. It is what it
Yes.
is. You face the reality and you move on. Because if you start, doubting and you just questioning, it's not going to end. And by the way, this is not just for your case. This is sometimes just for life stuff. If you start
Mm.
looking at the worst case outcome, you're just going to drive yourself nuts, and you probably can gear towards it, as opposed to
Yeah.
just take the best shot. Make the best potential hope, positive thoughts that you can have, and just go with the flow. And for what it's worth, it is what it is, right? You had to go through it. I mean, it's either that or you're going to suffer for a long time, or you can cause another, cardiac arrest, or get pills as the doctor gave you. You can be medicated for the rest of your life. Now, medication for the rest of your life means destruction of other, organs of yours, liver,
Exactly.
toxicity, and all this stuff. Not going to be fun, and no one wants that, right? And
Yep.
by the way, drugs can be addictive. There's other side effects to them, and no one wants that. Now, if you can get out of them, Scott, like literally, like you just clean slate. That's what you had. That's perfect, and you did. Now, now let's talk about your business. You started in the business of fitness. Now, I love it. You started a small boutique. You went to a big warehouse, which I love that concept. And then COVID hit. And by the way, you're right. One of the worst, businesses that got affected by COVID was gyms
Yep.
worldwide. I
Yep.
know Australia got it worse because you guys were shut down for much longer and more. Year after year, a couple of years were like just bad, and it was really like, terrible for you guys. I have no idea how you did it, but you did.
Mm.
In the States, we had it for a couple of weeks, and people were nuts. I mean, they were going crazy, right? You had it for months at a time, and so it's amazingly, I mean, it is tough to endure all that. And yes, and that's one of the businesses that took the latest, time to come back. I mean, gyms pretty much were not allowed to resume activities until like it was later on in the game. I mean, everything else started, and gyms came later. So that's probably brutal. But I love what you said. You adapted with the times. Technology helps you. You can do the virtual stuff, and so you took it on the ground. Like a lot of businesses did that, and you did. And so now your concept for that is to go back to the roots of things. You call it what? Square one. What
Yes.
what is that? What is the full name of the concept that you have?
Yeah, so it's Square One Fitness, and we abbreviate it nowadays to SQ1 just because it looks cooler.
It's cooler.
But yeah, yeah, but it's Square One. So there's a few kind of elements to that. So the first element is coming back to the foundations to build that foundation and then grow from there. Because a lot of people just skip the foundational stuff, like what you've mentioned about just living that healthy lifestyle, going to the gym, training regularly, eating good food, doing all that kind of stuff, and then the other part of it was me going back to my square one as well from back when I was in high school and I wanted to be in fitness. So for me it's like I'm going back to my square one, so it's kind of like a play on both sides of it. And I thought, wow, this is a cool concept. So and it gives me like a little story that I can share to inspire my clients and my audience as well, and say, look, I've taken myself back to square one, and I'm going to help you take your health back to square one and build it up from there. So that's kind of where the name came from. And yeah, I like it. I think it's cool.
Catchy, man. I love it.
Yeah.
It's simple, but really it has a huge meaning to it. It has a
Yeah.
good sense, and it really resonates well with the concept. I mean, again, you and I we had a brief discussion before the show. Is that sometimes when you get tight and things, always go back to the root of things, like to reset.
Yeah.
Let's go to the beginning of things. You know, how can we reset? Now, it's never too late. By the way, that's the other thing. For
Exactly.
anyone that thinks that I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm this, I can't go back. Oh my God, I'm out of shape. You can in a couple of months you can be as healthy as you want, and whatever that you want, as long as you live and you apply, you can get there. And that's the other thing, whether it's business. I mean, look, even the business you faced I mean, you were in the six figures and then all of a sudden things didn't happen, right? You ran the business for 10 years successfully, and you had all this, lifestyle that now and believe me, I know that feeling. When you're making money, your lifestyle goes also with that, right? And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you have a halt in everything, and now you have to adjust to everything, start again. The fact that you just did that alone, that shows that the person that you are today has probably learned from that lesson that, you know what, today is a good day to restart, and there is nothing that's going to stop me, and life goes on. And so you have that energy and the feeling that, you know what, no matter what happens in life, I'm going to be able to face it. I'm going to be able to adjust and adapt and move on and make it happen. You're doing that. You've done it now twice.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's a huge message for our people, because I don't care where you are in the world, uh, life is going to throw in a whole bunch of stuff at us every given moment. You don't know what tomorrow holds, or as they say, the future holds. And you know what? It is what it is. It's going to happen. You have no control over it. I mean, you might be able to prevent things, but there are times where there's things that happen to you that no matter how you did it, it's happened. And when it happened, it couldn't have happened any other way. It's over. It's reality. And so when that reality faces you, there's two ways to do it. It's either move on with a positive attitude, or basically have that thing halt your life and maybe go in depression and anxiety, and sometimes people even go to the extreme and you know I guess get suicidal thoughts, or even
Yeah.
execute on that. It can be a very severe outcome in there. So it's all about your mindset and how you shift around situations. Life is going to give up and down. You're going to go
Yep.
uphill, downhill. When it's sweet and smooth and you cruising, take advantage of it. Always plan for the worst and hope for the best, and it can happen to the best of us. And again, don't get fooled, folks, by what we hear and we see in social media. Everybody is going through something. Be
Yeah.
careful. What you see on the facade of people and what people are projecting is one thing, and what people are living is another. Whether it's their health, whether it's the family, whether it's the business, something is going on. They're not going to share, all the truth with everybody at all times. So, and people want to show the positivity. They're going to keep, keeping that facade that shows that, I have a peachy life, but what's behind it,
Mm.
no one knows except themselves. And so I understand that that's the case for a lot of us, and therefore don't let that beat you. Just know that there is a better day that's coming, and work
Yes.
towards that better day. Find a way to get to that better day. And those are the things that we all can do. Now, one way you can do that is using services such as yours. Because
Yep.
you do have, I mean, you went to school to learn about life coaching and stuff like that, and take that next level. Not only you can personal train in the fitness world, but you took it also, like, because life coaching is a full concept. It's beyond just the fitness. Fitness potentially is part of it, but really is everything. It's this, how to deal with anxiety, society, your life, your adjustments in life, what you do for your finances. All of this can affect things. I mean, finances are one of the worst things that can face people every time, more than anything else, and they can be detrimental to health. First, it starts with your
Yeah.
psyche, and then when it starts with your psyche, it also gets into your body, because now you're not eating well, not sleeping well. You're basically almost undermining your health, because you're trying to figure out a way to come out of this situation. But sometimes you do it on the depends of your health, and everything else goes down. Now, here's the thing: if you lose your health, can you do it again? It's going to be tough. So you can't lose. The only asset you have is your health and your strength. You have strength, you have health. The rest is here. You can always make the money. You can always figure it out. You can't figure out if your health is gone from you. I mean, you could potentially, but it's going to cost you, and it's going to take time, and
Exactly.
and it's a very difficult thing. But like I said, you want solutions. There are people such as yourself. So let's talk about your services, how they work. How do you get someone, and what, again, type of clients that you have, and what you do to help them to be better?
Yeah. Well, to start off, I work with everybody. So, if you're a human being and you got two legs, two arms, and a heart beating, then I'm here for you,
I love
because,
it.
it is about life. And this is what happened to me when I first started out. So I had the personal training qualifications first, and then I did the life coaching after I'd already started the business, because it didn't take me more than a few months to realize that I didn't have all of the tools that I needed, not only for myself to keep going forward, but to facilitate that change in my clients. clients. So I then moved on to the life coaching because I'm training, say, for example, I train a lot of people that are overweight. So I'm training this girl, and she's rocking up to her PT sessions every week, and she's motivated while we're there, but the weight isn't shifting. And I know that it's the diet, and I know that she's not doing what she needs to do, but I don't know why she's not doing what she needs to do. So then I start doing the life coaching, and then it all clicks. There's a reason behind everything. So with the life coaching skills, you're able to dive deep into the reasons as for why people are doing what they're doing and not doing what they're doing. So once, in this particular case, once I had those skills, then I was able to ask the questions, why do you want this? And, what's the purpose of it? Because originally, somebody will call you and they'll be like, hey, Jai, I really need to lose, a bunch of weight. Can you help me out? Yeah, sure. And then they don't lose the weight. And it's like, but why do you want to lose the weight? Oh, because, I just don't like this belly fat, it's no good for me. Yeah, okay, I get that. But like, what's the underlying thing behind that? Like, what's really behind that, If you ask enough whys, they say the 5 whys, why? And then they give you an answer. I go, okay, but why? And then they give you another answer. Okay, but why? Right? You get to the 5th why, and it's like, because I'm lonely and I want to have a partner or something like that, right? and then it's like, okay, so this is about you being lonely and wanting to be in a relationship, and you tie losing weight with you being able to have a relationship. Okay, great, let's do it then. And then so when you can then link it to the real problem, that's when you can facilitate the change. So that's kind of what I can do, is like I help people to understand themselves on a deeper level, where they can really get that, whatever it is that's going to drive them. We need to find that deep inner thing. So for me, it's longevity. After the experience that I've been through, I don't want to go back to hospital. I don't want to die young. I kind of saw all that coming into my reality, and I was like, hell no. So for me, like, I'm training every day. I've gone in the past like 2 years without even going to the gym. Now I don't go a day without going to the gym, because it just means so much to me, and it makes me feel so good every day, and it gives me confidence that I'm going to have the health that I want. Whereas if I don't do that, then I feel slow and flat and low energy, and I start to feel terrible. Then my mind starts playing tricks on me. Oh, you're not living healthy. You're not doing the right things. You're going to get sick, or and then it just ends up being a spiral. So if you can find that pain point, like your pain is actually your purpose in your life, and if you can turn that pain into your purpose, then you can transform yourself. So I always say, acquire what you admire. What do you admire in the world? Who do you admire in the world? Acquire that, and then give it back to the world in the form of you expressing yourself, who you are as a whole. And then that is going to inspire other people to then want to do the same thing. So we are all walking inspiration, whether it's negative inspiration or positive inspiration. So we need to be able to become the fullest version of ourselves. I mean, it's an appreciation of life as well. Like, you're taking life for granted if you're not living to the full capacity of what you can. And the way you do that is by taking care of your health. As you said, it is the most important thing. It is that foundation. So if we can take care of our health and really understand the pain points and the drivers and the purpose in our life, then we can tie that in with our health. We can build ourselves up, and we can actually have that life that we want. We're turning that pain into our purpose, and then we're living congruently with who we are. So I think that's a beautiful way to live life. And that's the way I try and get them into the minds of my clients, to help them understand that concept. And then that carries them forward in whatever way it is for them, whether it's for their family, to see their children grow up, to be a role model. There's so many different angles that people take. But we just got to pull on those strings. And once you can find those strings and pull on those strings, then you can get that change in people. And I think that's a big gap for a lot of people, where they don't get the motivation. Everyone's always like, I don't have the motivation. How do you have the motivation? It's finding the pain. We want to avoid the pain, but we need to actually face the pain. When you can face the pain and face the fears, then that challenges you to take action on that. So that's kind of how my approach is. And then that's how I tie both elements of the life coaching and the personal training together. And then we just build out a plan, like a daily script of, how do you play out your life? What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Are you hydrating? Are you supplementing? Are you exercising? Are you reading? Are you journaling? Whatever you need to do that's going to build you up and give you that confidence. A lot of people I deal with have health anxiety, and it's because they're incongruent with what they want to be and who they are. Once you start changing those habits, you lose the anxiety because you have faith in the actions, you have faith in the steps. And the other part of having coaching as well is having faith in a system that works, like, and it doesn't even relate, it's not just limited to health, it can be business, it can be, education, anything. Like with my business, I have a business coach, and my business coach tells me what to do. He's like, this is what I want you to do. And I have so much faith in that because I've seen that work for him and for all of his other clients. And I know that it will work for me as well. So there's faith in the process, even when it feels like, today feels a bit slow. Today feels like I'm not, nothing's happening. I'm not getting enough traction or whatever. But the process works because I have faith in that process. Whereas when I don't have a business coach, or I don't have a life coach, or I don't have a health coach, and I'm coming up with these ideas, or like, I'm going to do this workout and I'm going to eat this food, but I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I think it's going to work. So I'll do it. But then you do it for a week or a fortnight or a month, and then you don't see the results like that. So then you doubt yourself. And then you're like, oh, I don't think this is working. So then you drop it. And then I need to think about this. And then you do nothing for a month. And then things get worse. And then you get to that point again where, oh, I need to do something. So then you come up with another little plan for yourself, and then it's like, all right, I'm going to do this and this and this, and then you burn out again because you don't see instant gratification. But when you can have faith in a system, in a model that works, then you just execute and you stick with it, and you got somebody checking in on you. Come on, let's go, keep it up. You just got to stick with it. That momentum is going to build with your consistency. So having that little nudge and having that system and that model, then I mean, it just takes you tenfold forward. And it just gives you that little bit of extra faith, and then you start to see the results, and then you start to have that really deep faith in the process. Hey, this does work for me. This is the thing that's great, and then it goes on from there, and then you just build this crazy momentum. So I think that's kind of like how I've been able to have success with my clients.
Jai, it's a lot, but it does boil down to one element, which is again your concept of square one, right? It's really going back to the root cause of things and finding, to your point, that pain point, and then working backwards from there. And I think we all humans, I think, have a similar thing in life, which is we either suffer through feelings or through, like materialistic stuff. So basically, it's either your relationship with someone or life or friends, family, or it's just your financial settings. And those are like the biggest, I think, hurdles that we all have. Because if you have those things fixed, everything else becomes easy, right? But those are the two areas where you're going to get the most, I guess, impact in life. But you're right, it's difficult to actually fix these things sometimes. We can't always figure out things. And you hit on it right on the money there, on the concept of they try something, doesn't work, they panic, and that's really what it is. They panic because they don't see that immediate gratification, and the rest of it is like, oh my God, this is not working. Anything that you work on, you have to have the time and you have to allow it to happen. I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. Not if you have messed it up, quite a bit. I mean, if it's a light, stuff that you can fix is one thing. But most of us, sometimes we do massive damage to different things to us. And then you can't overnight just flip it and it's like, oh, switch off, switch on, and it's going to be, peachy. It's not going to happen that way. It could potentially, but that's a rare occasion. The idea is that if you have a dilemma, that you need to make some adjustments. Because again, we all know that stuff, doing the same thing, and expecting different results, that's insanity, right?
Yeah.
You have to adapt to things, you have to change, and you have to give it the time. I mean, time's going to change a lot of things, but if you just not consistent, you do a few things here, a few things there, okay, it's not working, let me try. Have you given enough time to this thing to work? And you're right. Now, when you take a template, cookie cutter ready, it's a proven formula, this is how it is. If you did X, Y, Z, these are the results you're going to get. And but even with that, like if you tell, like, I love what you said about someone wants to lose weight, they don't lose weight. You tell them to do stuff, it's not happening. Well, that's because there is something that they're not sharing. I mean, there is something they're not doing exactly as you tell them. If you deviate from one thing that, you tell them you need to eat this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and they do one thing off, then the results is going to be off. It's a simple, it doesn't take rocket science to figure that out, right? It's really now there is obviously your metabolism, and my metabolism is different, whatever. So you take those in accounts, but even with those, The only reason it's not happening is because you're cheating on your own formula. You're not doing
Yes.
exactly what it is. And I see that all the time. People say, well, I've been working out, I'm doing stuff, I don't see results. Are you doing sugar? Yes. Are you drinking? Yeah. Are you having some lack of sleep? Yeah. Oh, what? I just enumerated three things that are bad for you, and therefore the results are going to be different. Are you eating carbs? Yeah, I love my carbs. Okay, well, so I'm just giving a couple examples, but those are real things. Same thing in business. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? No, I'm not doing this. Okay, well, are you reaching out? Are you doing your stuff? Whatever the case may be, it's going to
Yeah.
have, if you have gaps, those gaps are going to either make it longer process, and you're not going to see the results you want in the time frame you want. And you have to have endurance here. You have to actually have resilience in
Yes.
anything you do. If you just want things to happen, how long did it take you to get to the situation you're in? See, if it took long to get there, don't expect it to be as quick, to actually go back. Now, it's probably quicker to go out of it, but it's
Mm.
going to take time to actually fix everything. It's like, imagine you keep a house that you've destroyed over the years and you didn't take care of it. Well, you can fix the house, but it's going to
Mm.
take some time to fix the house. You need to do some work to this house to get it back in shape.
Mm.
You got to invest money, time, this and that. Now, eventually, in a couple of months, you can get it refreshed. Now, if you have a lot of money, you probably can get it in a week. But then again, you have to find the money to do that. So again,
Yeah.
there's always that. But that's the thing. Like if you destroy your body over years, well, it's going to take some time. Now, the good news is that our bodies are resilient. You can change them. A few months with a few weeks, and you can detox and regenerate everything. Now, those are things. Now, same thing with life. It's part of it, right? It's one piece, and that's the other thing. Your health, your wellness, your fitness, your food, your diet, your business, your stress level, all of it, your family. It's all one piece. They all
Mm.
impact you. Your environment impacts you. I love what you said. Out of the city, let's go to the beach. I can tell you just by being by the beach. You wake up in the morning, got the nice little breeze. You have the view. It's soothing. That in itself is a cure to something. You don't even
Yeah.
have to do it. Just the element of changing the environment and your scenery can change your psyche. I mean, think about a bad day if the weather sucks, right, or it's gloomy.
Mm. Mm.
You're not feeling it, right? If you have a nice green scenery, blue scenery, like a beach, you look at a picture of an island with nice turquoise waters, whatever. You're like, oh man, I
You
feel
feel
good.
better.
You feel better
Yeah.
just by looking at it. But that's exactly so. Sometimes we are also our own enemy. We stick to. We know it's not working. The environment is not, but we're not willing to get out of it. I always tell
Yes.
people like, who stops you? I mean,
Mm.
the Earth is a pretty big planet. I mean, we have 8 billion people, but I think there's a lot of spaces that are still empty. If you can't,
Yeah.
be in one place, go to another place. But
Yeah.
because we are stuck to our routines and stuff, like I've moved many times, and I will do it in a heartbeat, and eventually I will do that again. I know that for
Hmm.
a fact, because my sanity is where I see myself. I like a place where I can find me. That's where I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Now, there is financial, things that you have to consider. Okay, so what am I? So there's the goal. I want to go to this location. How do I get there? You said it. Plan of 10 years. You did it in a couple of weeks. You had to
Mm.
plan it. You have to which we can here, what we can there. How can we make that early on? You were able to do it. That's the other thing. We can do things if you want them. Anything is
Yeah.
possible if you put your mind into it. With a few tweaks in here. Yeah, and now just the time frames may be different. 4 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. It's still better than 10 years.
Yeah.
And if you want it in immediate nature, that means you have to sacrifice a few things as well. And that's the other. You have to be willing to do that.
Mm.
Seeing someone, a coach, it requires time and money. You got to get paid, and you have to also commit to time. Not only time with you while I'm talking to you, time to also do the things that you tell me to do. So I
Yeah.
can meet you for an hour, great, and as soon as I walk out, none of the stuff is done.
Yeah.
And that's why you said you got to keep checking on them. Like, how you doing? Did you do this? I'm not sure. Hey, get your ass up. Let's do this, right? Yeah. And so
Yep.
that's really what it is, and that's actually mentoring, coaching, and it's real. It works, and as a parent, we do it with our kids, right? We try to do it with our kids.
Yeah.
As leaders in the business, you try to do it with your staff. You work with them, right? Because
Mhm.
we tend to like, okay, today's and there's always tomorrow.
Mm.
Is there tomorrow? Do we guarantee tomorrow? No one can guarantee tomorrow. One thing we,
Exactly.
we guarantee right now, I'm still here. Right now, I'm talking to you, but I don't know after this show if I'm going to be here or not. No one knows. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I mean, I know because you're in tomorrow right now. But you know what I mean. It's the concept of time is not something we can guarantee. So take the moment, do what you have to do, and live the best life. But again, I love the fact that you're out there doing this work, helping people, and you are taking an almost like a full practice with your clients to help them guide through their dilemmas, whatever they might be, and changing their lives one at a time. And I know you're achieving results. I know you're doing, you're making a difference. And that's really, not only you're making a difference in people's life, you also make it in your life because you're happy, you're doing what you want, and you're enjoying the life that you have. I just looking at you, I'm feeling good.
That's
Because,
it.
because seriously, because I know that you have that energy, that you're good where you are. Now, is that a facade? I don't think so. It is you because we're having to see. It's different. We're talking right now. There's an energy exchange, right? If I were in the room, it would be much better, obviously. But even here, I can see that you have the passion at what you do, and that's something you cannot fake. Sometimes there's no way to. I mean, you can be an actor. That's another story. But it takes a lot to do that, right? But in
Yeah.
reality, if it's something that you do every day, like you say, if you say the truth, you don't have to remember anything, right? Because that's it. That's the reality. You know it.
Yeah.
You don't have to make up, the actual script here. You doing it because it's you. I'm doing it because it's me. I believe in this concept. Actually, I use this concept for my own to keep me
Yes.
motivated and going. A true story. Every day I'm listening to all my podcasts, not mine and the ones that are actually playing on the radio,
Mm,
on our radio, and I'm actually absorbing all that stuff from everyone. Yeah, I'm
mm,
learning all the different things, and I'm admiring my, the podcasters that are on the radio because I listen to their stuff. It's really powerful stuff, and
yeah.
it's like it's all that. It's like feedback. I mean, I'm getting all that feed, right? It's like it's cool stuff, and just pumping. It keeps my morale, better. It keeps my mind, in a better place. It keeps my health in a better place. Sometimes I get lazy. I hear something like I got to do better.
Yep.
I'm just about to eat something. Nope, no sugar today. So I mean, believe it or not, these little things, we are always, marketing suggestions, right? It's hypnosis in a way. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. If you are exposed to positivity and ingredients to make you better, you're gonna get better. If you expose yourself to the negative and the bad stuff, that's exactly what's gonna happen. You're gonna be in a bad place.
Mm,
So so we mumbled. I mumbled a lot. You've covered a lot. So now, Jai, uh, you are working with someone. How long does it take, from let's say an average person to start with you to get to see some results? Because I think that's an important for people to realize, like, well, how long is that? Because we talked about you need to commit, what that commitment looks like.
yeah. I mean, if you can follow through on the plan, then usually you personally start to notice a difference in about 4 weeks. You feel your clothes are different. You feel different. In about 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, other people start to notice the difference as well, right? And then in about 3 months, it's just a game changer. So that's kind of like the timeline. If you're following the flow, it's 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and you're in a transformation. So some people do get there faster than others. Some people like to take on more. Other people like to take it a little bit slower. Some people just like find it hard to add everything in, because they already got a chaotic life and there's always a lot going on with children and whatever. But generally, if you can stick to a plan for a month, then that is a really good timeline for you to just feel better in yourself and just know, yes or no, is this working? Yes, this is working. So I think if you're going to do anything, you want to at least give yourself a 4 week commitment. Don't give yourself a 1 week commitment or, a couple of days or 24 hours. You need at least a month.
So Jai, do people need to get a survey, an assessment, or something, for you to design a plan? I mean, obviously the plans are,
Yeah.
not blanket. They're set. They're unique for each person's needs, right?
Yeah,
So how
exactly.
does that process work? So they'll apply with you. They'll get an
Yeah.
assessment. Then you give them a particular potential plan for their own needs and personal, I guess, objectives.
Exactly. So we'll either jump on a call. Usually we'll jump on a call, and then so I'll get an understanding of where they are and where they want to go. And then once I know where they are, then that helps me with their diet because I put everybody on a macronutrient, calorie restricted diet plan. So that's based off your metabolism, right? So I need to know where's your metabolism right now? How many calories do you burn in a day? So, that's based off your height, your age, your weight, your gender. Once I get all that information, and then I understand what your goal is. Okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, great. So now I know exactly where your calories should be. And then I assign you protein, how many grams per day, carbohydrates, how many grams per day, fats, how many grams per day. That's your macronutrients. Once you have that, I put it in an app. So I have a private app. I use Trainerize, and then I put a diet plan in there. So I give you all your meals, everything that you need, your daily countdown, all that there. And then your training, it comes down to, what do you do? Do you go to the gym, or do you train at home, or, do you play sports? What do you do? So based on that lifestyle, and maybe you have limitations, like right now I'm working with a lady who just had spinal fusion. So she can't do a whole lot other than the rehab exercises that her physiotherapist gave her and getting on an elliptical machine. So great, I get that, and then I put that into the app, and then that's your workout plan, and I hold you accountable to doing that, because probably just as much as I know, you go to a physiotherapist, they give you a bunch of exercises, and then you don't do them. So I hold them accountable to that. And then once they progress through that, we move on. So usually a workout plan will go for around 12 weeks, and we just tweak. So the first week is always chaotic, because the first week you don't know how they're going to respond. You don't know, what their limitations are in terms of coordination. Maybe you give them an exercise, like a bench step up, and they just have really poor balance. So that's probably not the best exercise. Maybe that's dangerous for them to do a step up, right? So then maybe we'd move to like a double-legged squat or something like that. So that first week we feel it out. So I get on the phone, I'm like, how was the squats? How was the exercise 1? How was the session 2? And then I get that feedback, and then together we make the adjustments. Some people have anxiety and fears around just exercising because I'm unfit, so they don't have that confidence to get in there and just burn themselves out. So, okay, great. Why don't we just start with walking for 30 minutes every day, and then we'll progress from there. So everything is scalable. So I like to just scale, and just constantly just give them that little nudge and just take them just outside of that comfort zone. I imagine a comfort zone is like a box, where inside that box, everything that's inside that box is fine. I can do that, no problem. I like to just get them just outside that box. And then once they get comfortable with that, that box gets a little bit bigger. And then I take them just outside that box again. And I just keep doing that, exactly. And then next thing you know, they look back to where they were, and they're like, holy crap, like I used to be scared to go in and do some squats in the gym. Now I'm doing jump squats on a box or whatever. So I like to scale it.
Well, thank you, Jai. So essentially you focus on the fitness and nutrition piece of it primarily.
Yes.
But then you use also your life coaching to tackle the true reasons behind whatever the status is. Because to your point,
right.
Everything that we are, if you're not doing your health well, is because you're caught up in the world somewhere. And really that's what it is. So if we can figure out what's catching you, what's holding you back, I think that's it. So I love your mix where you can give the fitness and training and coaching, and then started from a lifestyle aspect of it and adapt to it. And I love the concept of scaling slowly, because again, to your point, not everybody's going to start off the bat like doing the big stuff, right? I mean, because then they'll lose faith in themselves quickly, and it's over. It's gradually taking them one step at a time, and you're like, they'll start achieving small successes slowly but surely, and then before you know it, it's like, to your point, it's like, whoa. It's like someone who's not running and wants to prepare for a marathon. You're gonna start running every day slowly, maybe a mile, 2 and 3 and 4, and then you build up, and maybe it's gonna take you 2 months to get to the point where you're ready. Sometimes it could take you 6 months. If you're cycling, same thing. Whatever it is, it's gonna take. I mean, listen, I'm in martial arts. You don't become an expert in martial arts overnight. It takes years. And even when you do that, if you stop, your speed, your technique is not as good. So you got to go back and start rebuilding that. Everything is the same thing, but it's achievable with time. And again, I love it because you do have the plan. And so you're saying at least 3 months to get from point A to a good point. And then people can do more if they need more time, correct?
Yeah, correct. And there's also a duty of care to it as well. We need to keep them safe, because like the running is a great example, because so many people say to me, I think I'm just going to start running, but it's like, no, you need to lose 40 pounds first. So, I'll change the plan, because sometimes I can see straight away you're just going to injure yourself like that. You're just going to damage your knees and you're going to get sore hips and you're going to wake up in the morning and you're not going to want to even get out of bed. So there's a duty of care as well to make sure that the things that we are prescribing are going to make you feel good, not feel bad.
They also have to like some people can have medical conditions. They got to work with the doctors to see if it's going to work or not, because not everything's going to work for everyone. I love what you said. Someone who had just, is going through some therapy, and there's only certain things that they can do. You're going to work with what they can. And that's the other thing.
Yes.
People, you can work with whatever you have. You don't have to be, changing things. You can work at home, as you said. Some people can be working home. You can get resistance bands. You can do just body weight, gravity, can do a lot of things. I mean, you did boot camp, so you can do a lot of things without even having, you can do hit training with nothing. Exactly. You can just be your free body and do a lot of work with it. So listen, I mean, we could have this discussion go for a couple of hours. We've already exceeded the hour. There's so much stuff in today's, discussion and show. Amazing story. Great work you're doing out there. Now, where can people actually register to talk to you and work with you?
There's two places that you can catch me on. So I'm on Instagram every day. I document my life so that people can see my process, because I think that you have to lead from the front. So I show exactly what I do every day. I do an exercise of the day. I show my workouts. I show my routine, what I'm eating, my macros, everything. So you can catch me on Instagram at SQ1FitnessAUS, or you can go to my website, sq1fitness.com.au, and that's where you can actually apply to work with me. So I have two programs. You can do group coaching with me, or you can do one-on-one coaching with me. So the group coaching is where we do group Zoom calls. So that's where the coaching comes in. It's the same kind of format. You get my private app, you get a customized meal plan and macros all counted out for you. We scale your workout program, and then every week we jump on a Zoom call with the team, and we do Q&As, problem solving, coaching topics and all that. Or if you want to work on a one-on-one basis, we get on the phone, private calls every week. We're talking through your problems, solving the next step, what we need to do. Custom diet plan, custom training plan, tweaking, making sure that the progress is there. So they're the two ways you can work with me. My wife works with me as well. So she does the exact same thing that I do. So she has her clients, I have my clients, and then we work with the group together.
Tag team, baby. I love it.
Exactly.
And by the way, you got a pretty nice picture, out there, nice, chiseled, lean meat, so that shows that you're doing your stuff. So whatever you're doing, it's working.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, again, I mean, like, I love what you said. People have to see that you're legit. I mean, these things that you say are effective, they work, and you're guiding them to it. And so it's motivational by just default, just by looking. I mean, like, hey, listen, I can do that. And you can. You said it. You said you're in the 40s, right? Early 40s.
Yeah.
That's prime actually, and you're maintaining, you're looking like 20 or better. So that's an important thing. Now, anyone can achieve a certain level of that at any given moment. I actually see people that actually in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, you got Sylvester Stallone, like everyone knows him.
Yeah.
He looks great and he's full shape. I mean, Arnold is still in shape. All these guys are really still looking good, and they hit the gym. They're still maintaining, and for their age, forget about it. I mean, some people, like you said, and they already lost it. It's over.
Yeah.
But it's consistency. Period and out. If you fail on that, that's just, we only are the ones to blame. We cannot blame the world for things. We have to blame ourselves for whatever. We can make things happen, but we don't. So Jai, it was really an awesome time, spending here with you, and a lot of. I'm just pumped, just hearing about you. So I feel like I want to go to the gym right after this and start pumping.
Yes.
So I need to get my energy going. But thank you so much for the opportunity to share with us your life. I mean, it's an amazing story. You should write a book for that, maybe a movie for that. Never know. Maybe in a couple of years we'll have a movie that features you. Listen, it's a great pumping movie. I mean, imagine live from going from literally clinically dead to like changing the world. I don't know. I mean, it could be a different. I'm gonna ask. Maybe I ask ChatGPT to give us a title for that movie.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it was awesome. So I will have the link to your site, and I guess they can get to Instagram and everything from there. I'll follow you, of course. And so let's stay in touch. I love it.
Yeah.
And so, folks, I mean, you heard it all. the story, but also the work that's being done here, and you have a solution. Now you work with everybody around the world, right? It doesn't have to be in a
Yeah,
specific anywhere. It doesn't matter, right?
anywhere. Yeah.
So there you go. Now that we live in this global village I call Earth, and so we call Earth, I guess. I didn't come up with a name, but certainly, everybody can reach out to you and benefit from the work that you do and help them. So
Yeah.
that being said, any last words of wisdom to share with our audiences before we close the show?
Yeah. I think that turn your pain into your purpose. As I said before, that's the main thing. Turn your pain into your purpose and acquire what you admire.
It's a tagline, man. All
Yeah.
right, folks, there you have it. Turn your pain into purpose, and that's it. I'm Hurricane Age. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.